The Honourable Rod Caddies.
Thank you, Acting President. Now, I rise to make a short contribution to this, to say that One Nation will be supporting this motion for this inquiry into the impact of the demersal fishing ban. Now, I've been fighting this ban right back from day one when Labor dropped it on West Australians, the families, with little warning. You know, I don't believe there was a lot of consultation, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of care for what the impact was going to have on many people in this state, especially small businesses, and many of them have been affected. Now, today we've got the chance to do something about that. We can refer this to be investigated and address them concerns, and obviously, like we've heard, it looks like it's going to pass, so that's a good thing. I'm glad that the government have said they've got nothing to hide and that, you know, that this will show that. That's a good thing. Always keen on having transparency. Now, this is not a debate about whether we should protect fish stocks. One Nation has never said we should fish, species into extinction. We accept, jewfish numbers and amongst other species are low, and we accept that, maybe something needed to be done. This is more about the way it was done. The way the government done it was pretty disgraceful. The timing, the lack of consultation, the blanket approach, and the total indifference to the people's lives that were destroyed overnight by this. Now, the minister, I believe, signed it on the 15th of December, which was right before Christmas. People had booked fishing trips, holidays, charters. They all had to be cancelled at short notice. So that was always going to be a problem when, there's very little notice, especially for small businesses all up the coast, whether it be fishing tackle shops, caravan parks, fish and, just all different small businesses were always going to be affected with very short notice. It could have been implemented, the implementation could have been much better, so that, okay, we need to look at this, there's a problem with fish numbers, but not drop it on people right before Christmas when they had made plans well in advance. I know people personally, lots of them, that cancelled their holidays because they were going fishing, and it changed all their plans. So there was a lot of small businesses that suffered through them decisions. Now, as I said, businesses had forward planned. They'd bought stock, hired staff based on the expectation of a normal season. So, this again is not specifically about that it's being brought about that we need to have a look at the fish. It's about how it was implemented, and I found the government do that, especially, when you have the ability just to inflict something on people's lives and you have that power to do it, the consideration doesn't seem to be there that should be for the people of this state. Now, there was 27,658 West Australians signed the petition, as we've heard. That's a lot of people. So, and pretty much a record, I think, in this state, I believe that someone was saying, or close to it. So it shows that a lot of people did feel very strongly about this ban on fishing. Now, I've been, all around rallies and meetings with people sitting across the table from people who have lost their livelihoods, and they're gutted. They're not even mad. They're not about that it's come in. They're mad about the way it came in, what it's done to their business, that they had no time to forward plan. And I've spoken about some people before, and I will mention them again. There was one gentleman, Rod Van Oosten from Millard Marine in Bunbury, and I've spoken before about, that's a family business that's been running only with 2 owners in 60 years. He employs, quite a few people, 7 or 8 of them, I think it was, marine mechanics, marine technicians, they call them. And that week I was there, and I said that before, normally they'd have lots of jobs. That week they had none. They had 1 job for all these technicians. So, and then he started telling me another story about how he's running this boat business, and it wasn't just the impact on the business there, but it was all that forward planning, like I said, that the car parks and all different things that he had just signed contracts, have extra work all done on his business, outlaying a huge amount of money, but this got dropped so quick. I've already signed contracts, getting things done, and things had gone ahead. So not only was it his business that suffered, one, he had to sort of work out the contractual stuff about, he's just doing, new car parks and that. But what about these other businesses that have also booked in jobs, that needed to plan, put other people in? They suffer as well. So there's a roll-on effect. The trucking companies, that were bringing his boats over. He had ordered, I think, 8 new boats that were already paid for, already coming, and he had to now keep them in stock in his business, because had he known with enough time in advance, he wouldn't have ordered all that stock. He wouldn't have ordered all them boats to sit there in his business and have to be sitting all that finances tied up. So these are the sort of issues. It's not just about that, that this fishing ban came in. It's more so about the implementation. I think we should be really understanding that people out there are very upset, and there's a lot of businesses that have suffered, and it's not just people not being able to get fish, it's not the recreational fishermen, it's not the commercial fishermen, it's about all the interconnected businesses that go along with that industry. Now, there were so many others, that Sam at Wollaston Fish and Chip Shops in Bunbury, he had gone from 7 staff up to 18 staff, all locally trained staff, and it's really crushed his business a lot. And now there's a lot of people, he's having import fish, he's not getting the fresh fish he needs, prices have gone up, people complain they don't want to buy imported fish. So it really has impacts on the staff that he's got there now. So there's all these local people in Bunbury that now business dies off, lays off staff. That's more people that don't have a job out in the regional areas. We've seen, John Hyman, the guy was... I think he was, swallowed the keys. He was up on the roof there, swallowed the keys. There's so many people that this has impacted. The guy, Steve Alley, that bought a new tackle shop days before, and I think I've mentioned that before, days before you sign a business because you didn't know this was going to happen. That's a huge, and now you're stuck with a business that has been impacted massively by a decision which, okay, we may have needed to look at these fish and trying to find a way of fixing it. But the point is, there wasn't enough time. The implementation time, the way it was done felt like, I've been hearing from many people that they felt like it was just dumped on them, which I believe, I agree, it was not enough time given to businesses in this state to actually forward plan, and for people making them type of decisions, big money when you're talking about buying a business. And that business, they didn't know, they weren't holding anything back, they weren't sort of keeping it secret and trying to hide things away. That they've both gone into it thinking, okay, here's the business, this is the finances, this is how much it makes. But sure as heck, after this ban come in, I guarantee them figures would be totally different. That business would be worth nowhere near what it was that he was signing them days before. So, now, like I said, the people weren't angry about the ban from all the people I'm talking about. They weren't happy that it was coming in, but they were just more upset that they weren't able to look after, they're facing their staff. They're having to, they're the ones that have to deal with the emotional side of going, we've had, I'll go back to the guy with the shop, Rod Van Oosten. He's got employees that were working there for long periods of time. I think one was up to 17 years. All his staff had stayed committed, loyal to that business in Bunbury, rather than going, mechanics, they could have gone off earning way more money up in mining and things like that. They had been loyal to that regional business, and now he's going to have to, they've done the loyal thing, stayed by his business, earned a lot less money than they could have, to now that business to suffer and look like closing the doors. Now, I heard the Minister again say earlier about trust the science. And that's good, you can trust whatever science you like, but I asked her about Nanagai stocks in the southwest, and her own stock assessment says there are adequate levels, so why are Nanagai caught up in a blanket ban? And I asked that question, and she explained, and if that was the reason, it was about bycatch, it was about the impact on the bycatch and stuff. But this is why I'm really keen with this inquiry to look into the impacts and everything, because I've got professional fishermen with decades of experience that have told me they can target Nanagai stock and it would have very minimal bycatch issues. It's not going to have damage on these other stocks. So, but the minister wasn't prepared at all to entertain that thing of speaking to them and to seeing if, even if there could have been certain people finding ways to help certain industries, well, not industries, but businesses like that said we could target these nanogai stock, which, trusting the science, in their own science, the government science that they've got there, was saying that them stocks were fine on nanogai. And if a business is saying they can target this specific stock that is not a problem, and it won't affect the bycatch that badly, it's not going to impact hugely, then that should have been really taken on board, because that's one business that could have provided nanogai fish still and not shut down a business and provided, you know, the market. So now the government's telling us we have to ban fishing to protect the fish. I've said just prior that I accept that things need to be done, but what they are doing at the same time, you know, approving wind farms along the coast, seismic blasting in Geograph Bay, I think, and then blasting near Dongra, thousands of tonnes of concrete being pumped into our ocean floors, which will leach out into the water, and this is where fish live and breed. They breed there. This is, you know, the fact that these offshore wind farms are going to be loading up thousands of tonnes of concrete. I mean, that leaching into the water, who knows how much damage that's going to cause to the, you know, environment around that for the fish species. So how much damage is that causing? What's the science say about that? This will be good in the inquiry to find out all these different things. Yeah, mums and dads taking a boat out to catch a fish for a family feed, that's the problem, but this blasting and wind farms aren't, because the government's happy with that side of it, but we'll shut down, you know, mums and dads going to get a feed of fish for their family. It's hypocrisy when you look at both sides on that. Again, like I said, this isn't about not protecting species of fish. This is about implementation and the hypocrisy of allowing other things that do damage while banning fishing. Now, I just want to say to every fisherman and small business out there that's been hurt by this ban, One Nation haven't forgotten you, and we will be keeping a close eye on this as we go along. And yeah, I think I will finish my contribution there. Thank you.